This the War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out Smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats. Trust me. 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 Trust me.
What can we say? What can we say? Not too often are there legitimate surprises in wrestling anymore. But this Wednesday on Dynamite, there was a surprise for sure when we saw the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, Jake the Snake Roberts, make his return to wrestling, it seems, in a managerial capacity.
And he looked pretty damn good.
He's got one side of his hair that's gray, but that's where it goes gray. I mean, that's what happens.
Told you, Mattingly.
Yeah, well,
those sideburns.
So he sounded good. Of course, this is the War Report brought to you by TagMeAndDate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. We'll keep you updated on our complete site redesign as it continues. But we're here again for another edition of our podcast. We stream live on YouTube and on Twitch, and I believe we're on Facebook as well. Live streaming right now, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You've made it. You made it through daylight savings time. We've all survived. But now we'll talk some wrestling. And I guess first and foremost...
Hey, actually, hold on. Before we dive into the chamber, which I guess is probably where we're going to start, we should also just take a moment and remember this is the 4-year anniversary to the day. For Stu.
Really? Oh my God.
It's been 4 years already.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
And actually not to the day. I believe it was on Sunday. So this week's episode is dedicated to Stu.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who have been with us from the beginning, know who Stu is. He was a big part of Tag Me a Date, big part of the podcast, all around great guy, and was taken way too soon. So this one's dedicated to you.
Absolutely, man. That was... I can't believe it's been 4 years.
Me either. It
feels a lot shorter than that. Wow. But definitely we'll be thinking of Stu for this one. So we'll start with the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts, Ryan. That's exactly
we can eliminate this pay-per-view.
I'm in
it's unnecessary.
I'm in a group chat with my work buddies.
Oh, okay.
For troubleshooting, and the manager sent something that didn't tie in properly. It was like
I thought you were reacting to
a car and then bringing up a banana.
See, I thought you were talking about Elimination Chamber, which I get as well. But
it fit.
Let me pull.
I felt bad because I read it. I'm like, oh my God, why?
I should have pulled this up before, but I'm going to pull up the Elimination
I got it
Chamber.
pulled up.
You know, I got a Elimination Chamber, although it had some good spots in some of the matches. A lot of the matches were very predictable. It's a bad sign when you watch the main event, it ends, and you say, wait, that was the last match? So that's kind of not a good sign. I'm kind of at the point where the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view to me is pointless. At this point, there should be no pay-per-view until WrestleMania. You know, like there should never be an Elimination Chamber match. It means nothing. And I don't know.
Right.
You know, it's like Shayna Baszler. Okay, that wasn't a surprise to anyone, although the dominating fashion that she won maybe, but outside of that, I mean, everyone knew she was going to win. So I don't know. I
did enjoy that. It was a dominating win, though. It didn't make for the best match, but the outcome was nice.
I don't
then
know.
then it shouldn't have been the main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
Like I know they were trying to put her over by making it the main event spot, but if you're purposely making it not a good match,
Yeah, you gotta shuffle it.
you got to shuffle things around. I think you're right. Yeah, but
Because I actually enjoyed the tag team title elimination chamber much more.
Yes.
Oh, it was good.
yeah,
I
that
was
No,
behind
Lindsay
you.
Dorado in that. Holy shit.
That spot with Otis was great.
Oh yeah. That whole story got me going through that match, really.
Yeah.
yeah, and Tucker did like a big dive off the top of the pile.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tucker impressed
That
a lot of
spot
people.
through the chamber.
Yeah, he definitely is. You know, we kind of think of him as secondary, but he is definitely proving his worth here as part of the tag team.
He's showing that he's not Marty Jannetty.
No,
You know?
it's amazing. Usually there's one, but
Right.
And that
doesn't
one
appear so.
spot by Lindsay Dorado from the fucking
Yes.
top
Yeah.
of the roof of the cage. Holy shit.
See,
Yeah,
that's
it was
what I'm
crazy.
saying. Like there were some good spots
There's
in
some
some
spots,
matches.
yeah.
It just I don't know. To me the pay-per-view was just kind of lackluster.
meh.
It was just I don't know. It was just kind of stupid. It just didn't make sense to me. I don't know.
I think it comes back to having a Saudi show a week before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was speaking of unnecessary shows.
Yeah, and I don't know, like this whole the Aleister Black thing. Aleister Black got his win back after AJ beat his undefeated streak. But it was because the Undertaker interfered.
Well, the Undertaker was cool though. Like I
was
honestly
cool.
I didn't see the Undertaker coming.
I got that match wrong.
I did too. I didn't think
I actually
remember.
picked Aleister Black because of the Undertaker.
see I didn't think we were gonna see Undertaker. I don't know why. I just
Yeah, so, but it was cool to see the Undertaker. But what I'm saying is, it's not like, Aleister Black
Came out strong.
right? Yeah, like he didn't take three guys on at once and like beat up all of them and overcome the odds. Or it was the Undertaker helped him. He got the win. I get it. A win's a win. But it's almost like the story that they were trying to tell about like him avenging his loss. Like I don't really think it avenged
Yeah,
the
it was
loss.
overshadowed by Dead Man.
Yeah, and I also just don't. Having somebody interfere on your behalf doesn't avenge your
Much of
loss.
anything.
And Anderson and Gallows for that kind of match really didn't do much until like the end.
Right, yeah, so that's the other thing. It was a no disqualification match.
right. So,
So
you
she-
knew they were
They
going
were
to get
going to run
involved.
interference.
Right, but why wouldn't so if
But they were standing around like most
that's
of the
what,
time.
right, if you were out there or I was out there and it was a no disqualification match, I'd go in there and I'd interfere more. As soon as the bell rings, match starts, there's no disqualification. Just go in and beat your guy.
Yeah, just
your guy's
beat him
opponent up
senseless.
and yeah, that. So I don't know. There's some weird stuff. I was just listening to a snippet from Brian Alvarez, the Brian and Vinny show, from Meltzer's network and all that stuff. But he was literally just talking about that thing about the no disqualification, and they didn't jump him right from the bell, but then they decided to, and then they kind of he was going on and on about that. But then he also mentioned that we had another similar kind of match. It was an actual 3-on-1 match, not just a 1-on-1 match where two guys interfere. We had an actual 3-on-1 match, and then
Oh,
the
Braun
team,
Strowman.
yeah. So Braun Strowman went against Shinsuke Cesaro and Sammy, and usually the 2-on-1, 3-on-1 situation is the babyface makes his comeback and overcomes the odds and beats the team he was outmatched by. This was not the case. Sami Zayn, after
I couldn't believe it.
1,852 days, 1,850 something days of being on the main roster, he has his title. His first title on the main roster. And the last title he had was the NXT title right before he was called up.
Yeah.
That was it. You'd think with the way he was with Kevin Owens that he would have already been a tag team champion, or the way he's had this thing with Shinsuke. He could be a tag team champion already for sure. I mean, you would have thought he'd already have been U.S. or Intercontinental champion this deep into his run.
I just don't understand why you finally give it to him to then not give him a run. I mean, I think ultimately he's going to get it back. I mean, but what? So that's going to be his big WrestleMania match? I mean, it's
I don't know.
It's going to be him versus Sami Zayn, and not for nothing. Yeah. How is Shinsuke Nakamura not fucking pissed right now? That you know what I'm saying? Now Sami's the IC champion and not,
Yeah, at least from a storyline perspective.
Well, right. That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe they evolve that this week where it turns into maybe like a four-way.
Turn Nakamura face again.
Intercontinental match. Right. Maybe that's what does it.
They'll have a big Smoz ladder match at Mania.
Oh gosh, for the Intercontinental title. Yeah,
it seems like they always do that with it.
They're gonna change the U.S. title to the Mexican American Championship because now I guess Vince McMahon has decided that only Mexicans can wrestle for the U.S. title for whatever fucking reason.
I mean, shit, I'd have Andrade drop it to fucking Angel Garza. Maybe.
But do you notice these guys are all like?
Hey, listen, those Vince guys are putting on some amazing matches, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. As far as
they're only wrestling Mexicans, though. It's like Vince made a decision. He's like, nope, Mexican guys are just gonna wrestle the Mexican guys. We're gonna keep them.
Switch it up, roll.
Yeah, I mean, I get it though. When you have a combination of like 4 or 5 guys that you can just kind of pluck in and out. You've built a division around it. It's pretty great to see.
They're just so talented too, though.
Oh yeah.
You know,
but it's just a funny observation that the guys that they're using for this particular
100%.
division, they're all Mexican or Mexican American, and it's just kind of funny.
Undertaker looked pretty good though when he made his return. I gotta say, what else?
Like the old school undershirt he was wearing, the singlet.
Yeah.
Not the best chokeslam.
Hey, but he's fucking 90, dude.
I don't.
Yeah,
you know what though? I don't know how much of that was Taker. It didn't look like AJ got a nice push off the top of the shoulder to get the height.
Didn't get up for it.
Right. Yeah,
but AJ also did just wrestle a match. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's true.
That is hilarious. I had no idea that the chamber was called No Escape in Germany.
Yeah. You can't have an event called the Elimination Chamber in Germany. That's just a bad look.
Where does he leave Aleister Black though for Mania?
Maybe it's gonna be him and Undertaker against the Club.
Could, but they seem to have separated the two.
I think it's gonna
be. It didn't continue the feud with Black.
Oh yeah, maybe that. Well, maybe that.
I think AJ Taker's gonna be a casket match.
That's fine. After Monday. Okay, so after.
Well, especially now after
Monday,
his promo.
shit.
Well, listen, after that promo and talking about souls and everything else, that would make total sense.
Yeah, because
shout out to Michelle McCool.
Yeah,
that was a great. That was a great fucking promo. A great promo by AJ.
Yeah, but it's weird to hear somebody eat. I get it. Okay, we're in a different time, but I can't imagine during like the corporate ministry's run, The Rock or somebody gets on the microphone and says, "Well, you're just a guy named Mark Calloway."
Yeah, what? I was pretty shocked by that.
Oh, I was that animated GIF of like the black lady going, "That was me in real life when that happened."
Got the vapors.
I did. It was. Oh my goodness. I was like, "What are we doing here? We're getting in the weeds with this shit, man." AJ was on fire. I liked that promo and
it was very believable.
At least we've got 1 or 2 matches to look forward to at WrestleMania.
Well, listen,
yeah, looking forward to the top of the card at least.
Listen, I think no matter what anyone says, I think Charlotte Rhea Ripley is going to be a great match.
That'll probably be pretty good.
I think Charlotte's gonna really, listen, Rhea can hold her own, but I think Charlotte will make it even better. I really do. I think those two are gonna kill it. Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, I think is gonna be decent.
Oh yeah.
Although I kind of feel like they're setting it up for Brock to win.
Could you imagine? Imagine?
Because Drew is just like dominating him right now. But, who knows? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Still got a month away, though.
And then you're going to have Edge versus Orton. That's going to be a great match.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll get into that.
That's got some fucking heat. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, how could it not?
Yeah.
Beth Phoenix apparently is going to be involved somehow in WrestleMania. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm also hearing rumors that Christian is going to be somehow a part of this storyline.
How have they not involved him yet?
Yeah.
I thought that Christian wasn't cleared, and that's why they weren't using him.
Oh, is that? See, now I didn't hear that, but that doesn't mean that's not true.
But I didn't. Right, but I assumed from what people have kind of speculated because he retired without really retiring and was always talking about one more match and this and the other thing, that WWE just kind of quietly phased him out because I don't know if it would be concussions or other injuries or something, but
that's what he kept on saying on the pod was concussion.
Okay, so maybe that's in a feud where it seems like everybody is getting hit with an RKO or a concerto. They might not want to put Christian in that position.
That's
potentially get into. But I also, I've been of the mind that Christian should definitely be involved. It's hard to separate Edge and Christian and Edge. TLC matches, fucking ladder matches.
He can be involved too without getting physical. You know what I mean? They have ways of doing that.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could definitely do that. Or they could do it like, they show Christian and then, the camera, he like walks off camera and then all this, oh my God, what's all this big noise? And Christian's down on the ground. Oh no.
Or they're in the middle of the ring and Christian gets knocked down, which isn't going to hurt him at all. And then he's selling it. And then Orton's about to do a concerto and Edge comes in and saves the day. Like
what
there's
if
just so many things they can do. Huh?
Going for the punt to his head.
Right, that's
it. The concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things, but that whole story has been fantastic. Orton is great. Edge's return, just his facial expressions, everything about it was just great. I don't know. I'm sorry, because I just totally went off Elimination Chamber. Do we have anything? What else? Anything we should really mention before we jump into Raw?
Not really.
What other matches were there that we didn't?
The Viking Raiders against Hawkins and Ryder on the pre-show.
Another pre-show match for the Viking Raiders. Not sure what's going on there, just saying.
Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak.
That was actually a decent match.
Yeah.
Andrade, Humberto. Those guys always do well. The Tag Team Chamber. Which I thought, silly me, I thought that the Job Squad there, Ziggler and Rude, were going to win the titles.
Yeah.
So that when Otis and Tucker or whatever it is, however it shakes out at WrestleMania, I thought that would be their big win. They win the tag team titles, but I was wrong.
Yeah, I took Heavy Machinery, and I was completely wrong there.
Yeah, you would think that you would involve the tag team championship somehow in this tag team feud because it's now like the biggest story in the division. I don't know.
I'm curious to see how the whole
retaining.
I'm curious to see how the whole tag team story is going to develop in time for Mania, and what's going to go down there. I mean, there's still time for this to be a good Mania, and that's assuming we still have WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because we're like,
I think we're gonna have Mania. It just depends.
Maybe in an empty arena.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine an entire pay-per-view in an empty arena? I don't know that I could watch that.
I think it's a possibility. I doubt they're going to cancel all the plans.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Safety comes first. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's kind of like, does Vince really cancel WrestleMania? I mean, not for nothing. Owen Hart died in the middle of a pay-per-view and it continued. So,
and there's a lot of unanswered questions because if you're going to cancel WrestleMania, or change it so people can't, there's no audience to attend and it's going to be empty arena, whatever the case is. It's getting to about nut cutting time. This is around the time where people would have to cancel their flights and hotel accommodations and all that stuff to not get charged for it.
Yeah.
So he could by canceling or changing the event, he could potentially be setting a lot of people up to lose money. So
Very true.
I don't know. It's a tough spot because you do attract people from a lot of different countries across the world.
The problem is with this fucking virus is that if one of them gets it, they're all fucked. It's inevitable, unfortunately. So, but listen, we have some time. Hopefully they nip this shit in the butt prior. I mean, I guess we're starting to run out of that time, but I think we're only a few weeks away now at this point. But, we'll see. We'll see. But here's another. Well, so I guess that's really it for the Chamber. It was, again, it was pretty lackluster other than Taker. Some of the spots were good, but overall, it was just an unnecessary pay-per-view. I guess that's the best way to really...
that's exactly it.
It was just unnecessary. But now, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. So it was the big return of Edge. I like what they're doing with MVP. I like the fact that he's going to be a manager of some sort, maybe actually start a stable. Obviously, that's going to really come down to who... whether or not this is going to work, but I do like MVP, so I'm glad to see that. I guess we shouldn't dive right into the Edge Orton thing, but should we? I mean, I guess that was the biggest, part of Raw.
I'd say it was.
Because now they're I don't even remember what the main event was. This is how it's getting with Raw because it's some combination of Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and all these guys.
Well, no, the main event wound up. It was what was it? An 8-man
Viking
tag?
Raiders, Street Profits, and
right. It was an 8-man tag. So the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits against the Messiah's team, and it actually it was a decent match.
One of the AOP apparently might have injured himself during that match.
Is that right? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I guess he's being checked out. Might have torn a bicep.
That's not good.
No, that's a pretty bad one.
That's
How much better would the stable be if Paul Ellering was around?
If who?
Paul Ellering.
Yeah.
They sent.
I don't know why they ever got rid of him in the first
reason.
place.
Yeah,
I mean, that was just stupid. He was such a great talent, and
Let's put Drake Maverick with him now. Okay.
That just made no sense.
Yeah,
and I love Drake Maverick. I think the guy's talented
just,
as fuck, but it just made no sense at all.
Yeah, that was not at all.
They should have put him with EC3.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
the fuck happened to EC3?
Vince McMahon never liked him, so I really hope he gets out of his contract because AEW will do something with him because he really is talented, and I don't know why or who or what happened or who he pissed off, but they just never gave him a chance. So I mean, at the end see, that's the one thing I don't understand. You offer him a contract, but you push him maybe for 2 weeks, and then you just decide, all right, I'm over it. Like, what did he do?
I honestly think it was the same reason they tried to work on the revival and work on some other guys to stay. Is there's other competition now? New Japan is actually paying good money for American talent, and AEW is paying good money for American talent.
Revival didn't resign yet, right?
They have not. They turned down $700,000 $100,000 a year each.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't all come down to money. Of course, it plays a role, but if you're not being used to what you feel is, I mean, listen, the Revival will be a team to deal with in AEW for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There would be some outstanding matches.
Definitely.
Listen, if you're not happy, look at Matt Hardy. With Matt Hardy, the guy is set up for life, so it's definitely not about the money. At the end of the day, he wants to be able to be as creative as possible, and the WWE is shooting down all his ideas, and that's really why he wants to go, because if he goes to AEW, Cody Rhodes is going to say, do whatever you want to do. He's going to free the delete. He's going to, if he becomes the leader of this Dark Order or whatever the fuck it is, that could be cool. Although I don't know if I'd have to see how it's done. I ultimately don't necessarily think that's the greatest idea. He should maybe come in and bring Senior Benjamin, and you're not going to get Jeff because he seems to be happy and he's coming back. So
I
don't know.
I think with Matt Hardy, I don't think he's going to end up being the leader of the Dark Order. I feel like he's going to come in.
It's too obvious right now.
Right. I think that he might come in as someone against the Dark Order.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they've been setting up as a heel team. It'd be dumb to bring in Matt Hardy and flip him.
Right, because people are going to cheer. As soon as Matt Hardy shows up in AEW, if he does, he's going to get cheered big time. They're not going to boo him. So, he...
Now, hold on a second. I just want to be clear about something. The whole Hardy broken deal, that Matt owns, right? Not WWE.
Yes.
So he can use it.
He can use broken for sure. He can't. Woken was a WWE thing.
Well, fuck the Woken. The Woken sucked. He needs to be broken. That's the point.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Yeah, I think all of his original stuff. There was that point where TNA was really playing nice with people and letting them use names and trademark stuff. So I mean, he was fortunate enough to work out a deal with them where he's got that property. Although I thought it would be interesting. I know he's not doing this anymore because he's not in a wheelchair. But I thought it would have been interesting that if Matt Hardy debuted in AEW, the first thing he does is he wheels out in a wheelchair, and then he gets up from the wheelchair to continue the Randy Orton. tie that into what happens and.
Well, and just to be clear, for those that are not in the know, there is usually a 90-day no-compete clause if your contract has not expired. If your contract expires and you choose not to sign, you can show up wherever you want the very next day.
Correct.
So that's why this could time out perfectly where Matt now, at any moment, can show up. In fact, rumor has it the reason why he hasn't already, he had some kind of prior engagement that he couldn't get out of.
Huh. But yes, his contract expired, and then that was, it's different than a release or coming to the terms.
Which actually means he technically could show up at AEW tomorrow night. If
he could show up anywhere. Right now, he could show up anywhere because he's a free agent.
What if he's who's Jake is talking about?
Jake from State Farm?
That'd be great.
Talking about
his client.
Confronting Cody.
But I feel like Jake's client is going to end up being either, what's his name there? Lance Archer. Or it's going to be Brody, Luke Harper.
I think it's going to be him, actually. Yeah.
I hope it's Harper. I'm excited to see what he winds up doing in AEW because they're for sure going to use him the right way, and of course everyone's going to know who he is. I just hope he continues to be the guy he was You know, he doesn't really have to change anything.
No, because all they have to do is go out there and let him wrestle.
Right.
It's you know, he's not from the swamp or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? The reason that Vince McMahon supposedly didn't push him any further is that he imagined him as some kind of southern character, but the guy couldn't do a southern accent well, so he stopped using him.
He's not Eli Cottonwood. Remember that guy?
Oh Jesus, Eli Cottonwood. Why would you remind me of Eli Cottonwood? God. I almost had him out of my brain, and now he's back, and he cut a promo about a mustache.
You know what's amazing to me, and this is just something else I'll just never really understand. If you go back and you think about Luke Harper, and when he started to have that singles run, and he kind of went face, and he was starting to get pushed, and week after week he was down, and the crowd was going fucking apeshit, and then all of a sudden Vince just pulled the trigger and stopped the entire rush, and then he just fell right back into the middle, and I just don't get it. Like he's another guy that in theory is Vince's type of guy. You know, he's big, he's bearded and just, you know,
a big slab of meat.
Yeah,
you know, he's just, you know,
it's the kind of guy that Vince likes usually. So I don't know. It's just amazing how sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't for him. And sometimes it doesn't seem like there's even a rhyme or reason.
No, why wouldn't he like EC3? Right? Like what would lead Vince McMahon, who likes a guy that's built like that, to dislike EC3? Unless he like sneezed one day or something. You know, it's gonna be some minor Vince McMahon thing.
He was building up.
He eats his peas with a fork, one at a time.
He eats M&Ms with a spoon.
He hit all of McMahon's points all in one go.
Yeah, he just did and sneezed on him. That would be the worst. Yep. Just sneezing. The icing on the cake is the sneeze. But especially, oh my God, can you imagine with this coronavirus shit going around, how Vince McMahon, who's already a germaphobe, he must be in hell right now.
Can you imagine? That's insane.
Yeah. Like Mark
in an industry where they all touch each other a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Constantly in contact with people, and Adam Page is taking beers from the crowd, drinking the beers. Like, buddy, you're drinking beers. I know they're probably planted there, but still, like, come on, man, you can't be drinking crowd beers.
I mean, even not for nothing, like shaking hands right now and all that shit. Like, I wouldn't be doing it. And you know, it's like
at the meet and greets.
Yeah, but you know what? But then, like, Natty was coming out on Raw last night, and she's fucking slapping hands and getting close and this and that, and you know, she wasn't wearing any gloves. So you know.
Oh, we forgot to talk about something dumb. I need to
do it.
The spider?
Well, that is dumb.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. For months, this ginger bearded goof was carrying around a cage with a burlap sack over it. For months.
That spider didn't even look real.
One time, somebody opened it up and it either spit blood at them or bit their face so that their face was covered in blood. It was never explained why that thing in the crate got that person's face bloody. And then nobody can see what it is. They all want to see what it is. Nobody can see. And then motherfucking No Way Jose just walks up and says, "Hey, man, what's in that thing?" And he opens it.
Hey, but pause. Hold on. Nicely. I just want to point out that segment, though, Wrecking Ball Legursky was one of the No Way Jose guys. So that was pretty cool. But yes, out of all the, like, out of nowhere, now you display, and it didn't look real.
No,
like,
it wasn't even
what
close
the
to
fuck?
being
Like,
real.
it was a letdown. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all knew it was going to be a letdown.
It really doesn't matter what it was.
But this is what I'm saying. Yesterday, a week later, they build this up for 4 or 5 months, and they finally pull out this Jim Henson's nightmare of a spider puppet.
It was
And-
like when Mae Young gave birth to a hand. It was
yeah.
that
They went to the
as
Halloween store
disappointing
and
as
they
that.
bought, but they revealed it, and now it's just squished and dead. It's dead now.
I think it was more of a we don't know what to do with it.
Yes, well, that's
So
the
we're gonna
thing.
show something dumb and kill it.
You they really wrote themselves into a fucking corner with that one.
Yeah.
Once you go giant spider, there's no, it's like never going full retard from Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder. You just never go full retard. You never go full fucking giant spider puppet.
Well, in their defense, with the whole biting thing, the animatronic in Jurassic Park, that big T-Rex, actually almost ate somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, almost ate, like,
yeah, but it's a T-Rex.
yeah.
This is a handheld spider puppet. Unless it was hydraulic fluid that came out of the puppet. I don't know. It's just the whole thing hurts my brain.
It was one of those spitting dinosaurs from Jurassic Park.
But
It's
now it's just Drew McIntyre killed it.
yeah.
That's just it. After all that, after all that waiting, somebody out there, it's not me, somebody out there is a really big Eric Rowan fan. And whoever that one guy is, watched
That one guy.
for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And this is gonna be good. Finally, my guy. Man, they made him a backwoods hick. They put him with Daniel Bryan in these old alt rock shirts. They gave him a fucking hammer. He was a bash bro, whatever the fuck it was. And then now they've got this thing. This is the one. This is it. This is my day as the president of the Eric Rowan fan club. How disappointed were they in these last 2 weeks? Not that anybody out there is going to give a shit about.
I think they
Rowan,
realized that
but-
the storyline was really that bad, and they were just like, you know what, let's just kill it and move on. At this
Yeah.
point, that's just kind of what you had to do.
But now what's Eric Rowan going to do? He's going to go like sit home and collect a paycheck.
I mean, you know what? Unfortunately, there's something about Eric Rowan. He does nothing for me. I don't, he's, to me, he was the Jannetty out of the Wyatt family.
Absolutely.
I don't
You know,
disagree.
and,
I don't disagree.
Like Harper, I got behind him when he was single, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in AEW with him.
And look what happened with Braun too. Braun broke out of that too.
Right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Rowan, just for some reason, I can't get with him.
He can swear vendetta against everybody.
Even that feud he had with the Big Show. Remember that the stairs match or whatever.
That's just a bad match idea.
God. Can we just
Tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs.
Oh,
TLCS.
I remember that. That was another painful idea that they had. Oh, but yeah, I just wanted to bring up that stupid spider thing because they built it up for so long, and then they make a dumb reveal, and then they just smush it. It's over.
Yeah, I think the dumb reveal was just to kill it off. And,
right.
Unless Arachnophobia 2 was coming out or something.
Yeah, the WWE Films production. Who knows? They remade Leprechaun.
Yeah. Wasn't Hornswoggle
Hornswoggle was
Leprechaun?
yes. Hornswoggle was the damn leprechaun.
So,
Oh.
so Edge
Yes.
makes his return. One thing that I forgot how much I loved and missed about Edge is with Edge, he wears so much of his emotion in his face.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't have to say anything, and just with his eyes. And I miss that because Edge it just shows you how good he is at being Edge and being his character, and he's feeling you could tell how much he's so excited that he's back and that he's able to write the end to his own story. It's so cool, and I love how they're doing it with Orton. The story is coming together. You know, even Orton's reasoning, there's a lot of people that aren't happy with it. If you think about it and you sit back and you listen to what he said, it makes sense, you know, to somebody that's a little crazy. So it works. And Beth Phoenix getting in the mix and taking an RKO, and she took it awesome. I mean, she took it better than MVP did. The fact that Edge took out Randy with the RKO out of nowhere was pretty cool too. It just, everything worked. It was obviously by far, I think, the best segment of the night.
And I also didn't mind MVP getting back out there and mixing it up.
Loved it.
And he's a guy that kind of bridges that gap. All of those guys involved, him, Orton, and Edge, were all from that same time period.
Right.
And that same kind of that era of their own era of SmackDown there.
And MVP's good on the mic. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, he's always been, you know, great at that. So it works.
As a manager, I mean, he can do a lot of good for somebody. I don't know who, but
Ricochet, Cedric.
Well, they got to do something. They got to do something for Ricochet because...
Well, Ricochet wrestled on main event this week, so might as well call it a day on old
Did
Ricochet.
he win, though? I mean,
he won.
At least he
Did
won.
he win? He won? Okay.
I mean, at least he won. I don't
let's
know
be
what
Say, I
fair.
don't watch that show. Why would I know?
I heard him pitching ideas to go back to NXT.
Yes, I saw he floated that out there.
That's what they should do with Cedric too. Put him in NXT. He'd flourish in NXT.
Yeah.
Jimmy Horton came up to the main roster.
Yeah, I mean,
Where NXT people go to die.
That's not true. NXT is an awesome
That's
show.
fine, it is.
You know, it's like, I mean, listen, not for nothing. Look what it's done to Finn Balor. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he's
I'm
been
saying
awesome.
The main roster is
main
where
roster is where.
Oh, the main
where
well,
people go to die.
yeah, well, unfortunately,
Because the only NXT guy that I'm trying to think of, it's
Kevin Owens.
it's Rollins, it's Owens,
NXT.
yeah,
Reigns.
Reigns,
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
It's good in both. So
Sasha, Becky.
Bailey.
Yeah, it's really only the men's division that's dominated by Goldbergs and Brocks like that. There's, you know, in that non-NXT guy era. Now it's like
Wyatt.
yeah, Wyatt's in there. But it's, I mean, the women are almost 100% aside from like Natalya and Tamina. They're almost all NXT
Yeah,
projects.
and I mean, just look at the crop in the women at NXT. The next ones that will eventually get called up. You know, the ones, you know, like Chelsea, Belair. I mean, right now, all the main women, Mia Yim, the crazy Asian one, Iro Shirai,
Io Shirai, yeah.
and then, you know, I'm blanking, but I mean, all of them, they're just so fucking good right now. You know, Santana Garrett, she's another one. I mean, she, you know, she doesn't really win, but she's great.
Deonna Purrazzo.
Huh?
Deonna Purrazzo.
Right?
Oh yeah, Deonna Purrazzo, of course.
She's another one. So, you know, they're in good shape over there.
Oh yeah, for the women's division, I think they're in fantastic shape. Yeah, they're not going to run out of women's talent for quite a while. I mean, men's talent too, for that matter. But just the women, you know, they know if they need to promote women or shuffle them around, they have a lot of opportunity.
They can always pick from NXT UK also. Tony,
Oh yeah, geez, that
Whatever.
they might be opening an NXT Japan.
Yeah.
Ugh, I think that's just such a bad idea, but they're probably going to do it.
You know they're going to do it.
And then they're gonna try and take all the guys who would be like New Japan Young Lions and train in the dojos and all that shit, and just be like, here, Here's a bunch of money. You're gonna come to Florida. Get your green card. Get your citizenship.
Oh, and real quick, it just popped in my head. So before I lose it, not to change the subject, but if you haven't had a chance and you have or have not been watching Ruthless Aggression original, the latest one is out. And it's the last one until the fall, so it gives you a chance to catch up. They are awesome. And then there's also the one up there about Florida Championship Wrestling and really the start of Cena and Brock and Orton and all those. It's just really fucking cool. And our good friend at Tag Me a Date, Dr. Tom Pritchard, is a big part of it. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, I've been enjoying those.
To see Dr. Tom on there. I think he doesn't get enough credit sometimes. It's all Bruce. Bruce gets all the credit. It's never Dr. Tom.
Well, you're never gonna get Vince to be on one of those talking creative.
Oh, could you imagine if he did though? Could you imagine like him sitting down with like Conrad Thompson for one of those Bruce Pritchard styled shows, and Conrad just sits down. All right, we're talking about Survivor Series 1997. Vince, chat me up about that. Wait a minute, buddy.
I think my mind would break.
That's a good Conrad, by the way.
Okay, good. But I'm just trying to picture that.
And then
Trish Stratus was all the way live, right?
Oh man, that was the drizzling shits. What was that, pal?
I would love to see. Vince would never do that kind of a sit down interview that would be that open. He could never do an open format like that, but it would be very fascinating to talk about any of that stuff, whether it's the Brett and Sean stuff or the Stone Cold coming up stuff or anything.
Speaking of Bret Hart, he's going to be the next guest for.
Yes,
that's going to be a very interesting.
The Stone Cold podcast or whatever they're calling Broken Skull Sessions on WWE Network.
Yeah,
Bret Hart is the next guest. That's fantastic. They have a lot to talk about. Those two guys, a lot of history, and then Bret is actually a very, very vocal guy.
Oh yeah.
So
you see what he said about Hogan recently?
You call him a piece of shit or something like that.
What hasn't he said about Hogan?
Well, listen, Brett's never been shy about his feelings towards Hulk Hogan. So
no,
he's not what you would say. What you would call a fan.
He's not a Hulkamaniac.
He's definitely not a Hulkamaniac.
Not many have been shy about their feelings about Hulk Hogan, though.
Yeah. I still like him. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, listen,
Whatever.
he's still the reason why WWE is as big as it is. So
yeah, he's the reason everybody watches wrestling to this day. If there wasn't a Hulk Hogan, there wouldn't still be a WWE. They just would have went. It wouldn't have held up.
Amen.
They were able to evolve and change and have a new top guy like a Bret Hart or have a Stone Cold Steve Austin or DX or whoever, Rock, Triple H, etc., Mick Foley, and they evolved. John Cena, now Roman Reigns. But what I'm saying is they wouldn't have been allowed to evolve and change, if you didn't have a big star like Hogan propping them up.
I don't argue. Savage was kind of neck and neck too.
Yeah, Savage could have
not so much Warrior, but Savage.
Right, but there was they had to be. You had to build a guy like Macho Man up to get him to where Hulk, because Hulk just when he was already from the AWA and everything else,
right.
He was already Hulk Hogan, so he was just coming in as Hulk Hogan. So, but it's just it is interesting when you look back and you see those few top guys, and I know it's a lot of it's nostalgia, but like those guys kept the lights on. Those guys sold out the first 5 or 6 WrestleManias.
Yeah, they were mainstream.
They were, yes, and they were mainstream. That's the other thing. There's not a lot of mainstream crossover anymore.
Like legit mainstream, not here's the WWE guys.
yeah. They go on Good Mythical Morning on YouTube or some bullshit like that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys, let's do something.
And even the low card guys were over as shit, like the Bookmakers, or
Yeah. It's it doesn't seem like the undercard. there are some over guys, but you're right. I feel like the undercard isn't the same like star. It's not as much star power. You know what I mean? Like everybody, maybe because there's only friggin' 20 guys in the company or whatever at the time, but everybody felt, even if they weren't the world champion, they all felt like big deals.
Yeah, I think there's too many people on the roster.
Well, yeah,
currently, because
absolutely
nobody feel there's just too many or anybody to stand out.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, now listen, I don't mean to jump in and change the subject, but we are at the very top of the hour, and with about 9 minutes to go already, believe it or not, and we haven't even talked about AEW yet.
Yes, so coming off of a great pay-per-view, they followed it up with a good AEW Dynamite, 900 and something.
Even with NXT
viewers.
having 2 cage matches,
yep,
they beat out AEW, beat them out in the ratings.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what has happened with all of this.
I was actually kind of surprised by that, although I mean it was a great show, as always, but. The interaction with Moxley and Jericho and the Inner Circle and everything else, like, it's just, it was a great show. And then Jake Roberts, I mean, like you said,
Darby
talk about
Allin
a surprise.
Jake was the, I mean, no one, if you gave me 20 guesses, hey, guess who's coming back on AEW this week? Jake wouldn't be in those first 20 guesses. That's pretty great.
I love that Cody is basically Hulk Hogan in that, like, when Hogan was not the champion and he was feuding with random people like Zeus or Earthquake or something. He keeps fucking with Cody all the time.
Yeah. Somebody's fucking with Cody, and it creates the.
I mean, MJF got a huge win, and
Yeah, well, and then they actually did a pretty smooth transition from MJF to whoever Jake Roberts' client is going to be, and also left the door open to revisit the MJF thing down the line.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to revisit it. That's far from over. But, I
love the tease with Jericho saying that if with the 60 days going away.
Yes, yeah, that was brilliant. So,
and apparently he's not going to be missing any single time during this tour, from what I understand.
That's what it looks like.
Which only Jericho.
I really want to see what Jericho is going to do now, especially with him not as champion. It's going to be interesting.
Well, they've got. I
mean, Jericho's always a home run, but
Yeah, but now they've got the March 25th Dynamite will feature their version, what we believe to be their version of the War Games match, the Blood and Guts match, which just is pretty hilarious because they wouldn't have used that term if not for Vince McMahon saying that Dynamite is all blood and guts. So
that's funny.
They're doing that, but then they've announced Ambrose off for 2 weeks by doing that power bomb.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd think you'd want to keep him on. You'd think you'd want to keep him on air, but it almost seems like something you'd do to write him off.
Yeah.
Until this blood and guts thing is resolved, and then
you have him come back.
Right.
And I think the Elite are going to break up, and then you could have Moxley come in at the end.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably something's going to happen with the Elite. This is I think this is the tipping point. Somebody's, whether it's the Young Bucks turning on Page and Omega, whether it's Adam Page kind of going his own way and turning on those guys. Maybe Omega is the shocker and turns, or maybe Cody is the real big dark horse shocker and turns and costs them the match. But something's going to happen, and I feel like something's going to happen that's also going to set the stage for, was it Double or Nothing or All Out? Whatever their next pay-per-view is. I think it might be Double or Nothing. But there's going to be I feel like there's going to be Dark Order, Exalted One involvement in this at the end of the Blood and Guts thing. I feel like Moxley it could get involved. I feel
it
like
is Double or Nothing, May 23rd.
Yeah. or it could even be Lance Archer or Brody Lee could come out and make their presence known. So there's a lot of different ways that this situation could go. It would be interesting to see
exactly
which
how it plays
direction.
out.
Right, because
There's a lot of options.
there are a lot of, basically what I'm saying is, for me, I think it's pretty obvious that something happens with the group known as the Elite. And then from there, whatever that thing is, there's a lot of different ways that they could go. So, and then you build to a pay-per-view. So they're building to these smaller pay-per-view like events on their live program to make up for not having monthly pay-per-views. And I don't even, I like the way they're doing this. I don't like
I was going to say that.
monthly pay-per-views lead to stuff like Sunday Night Happening, where you're like, oh, why is this a pay-per-view?
Right.
Well, no, that was 2 pay-per-views in a month. No, I mean like a week apart.
Oh yes, there are two. That's true. The Saudi Arabia show was basically another big pay-per-view, but it's just they've oversaturated it on WWE's end, and by only doing 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year, you're giving the stories longer. This fat cat. You're giving stories.
I know. I was watching her.
Longer time to develop. You can do a lot of storytelling on the live TV to really sell the pay-per-view. So I like the way their choice to only do a few pay-per-views a year.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. And then it gives those guys opportunities to work other places. A lot of those guys still work the indies. Do signings and meet and greets and wrestle matches in the indies, and then some of them have it written in where they can work in Japan if they're allowed to work in Japan, as long as they get approval from Tony Khan. They're off to Japan, so
And they could show up in NWA for a couple of weeks.
right, yeah, it's pretty great that these companies all seem to want to do business to a certain extent, and not necessarily exchange talent, but are willing to have. Open the doors to other talent coming in. So it's not all just locked up under contract, ironclad divisions between different companies. Although there's one big gap. You're never going to have the crossover of a WWE star coming to the NWA or to AEW. Or
Not with Vince,
Impact
at
or whatever.
least.
Right, that's right.
But I like it though because it harkens back to the territory days.
Yeah, because you can see Impact guys show up on AEW, and you can see guys from MLW kind of
A
work.
lot of guys never got stale back then because they kept going from territory to territory.
Right, rather than being on the same
Or
TV
Andre.
program the whole time. No, I agree. It's just it's different being on Monday Night Raw for a couple years and getting stale, and then you go to SmackDown, and then that's supposed to make you not stale anymore as you got traded to SmackDown. It's like
You got a slightly different twist on the same product.
It's Roman Reigns, but he's in blue this time. It's like, oh, okay, he's in blue.
Like the Universal title, it went from red to blue.
Yeah, we all saw that coming, and sure as shit, blue belt. Goldberg has the blue belt officially, right? Like he doesn't use the.
Wait, how much more would the title mean if it was Cena and Wyatt? Because then it would be Cena chasing his 17th title versus
Because people would be pissed if right off the bat Cena gets thrusted right back into a world title match. You know what I mean?
Or if he won.
It would just it wouldn't be a good situation. The belt doesn't need to be involved with Cena at this point. If he's not going to be a full-time guy, that's the problem with Goldberg. At least Brock Lesnar, we're starting to see him a lot more. So, we can't really complain. I don't know. I think Cena needs to the title doesn't need to be in the picture. I like the fact that Cena was all about, I think, the right thing is that WrestleMania go on without me. Like, I thought that was the right thing. And then, of course, Cena's never going to back down from a challenge, especially someone like The Fiend, who technically he's never wrestled before, quote unquote. So, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The only way I'm pretty much going to be satisfied is if The Fiend goes over on Cena, which I feel like Cena. I feel like that's the right thing to do. It's
I feel like
put
he's
Bray
got
over.
to.
But we'll have to see. But it is that time, folks. It's the top of the hour. Time flies.
Yes. So if you'd like to follow us on social media, it's at Tag Me a Date. Tag Me a Date, no spaces. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And, here on YouTube. Basically look for Tag Me a Date, at Tag Me a Date. That's our username on most platforms. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel here. You go to youtube.com, type Tag Me a Date in the search bar. You'll be brought to our channel where you can subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications for when we are going live or when we upload a new video. You can also subscribe on Twitch if you prefer Twitch. If you prefer audio only, if you don't watch the podcast but you listen, we are on Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. What's the other one that I can't think of? Spotify,
Google,
Stitcher, SoundCloud,
Apple.
Google, Apple. I think I got them. Spotify,
Yep,
Stitcher,
you got it.
SoundCloud. All 5 of them. Okay. Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So all the major ones. And again, the username is at Tag Me a Date. You'll find us
Yep.
the War Report. We usually have them up within the next day or two of when we go live, and we keep 5 up, the most five
Five,
most
6.
5 to 6. So you'll get a good fix of that. But if you want all of our archives, or most of our archives, youtube.com and search for Tag Me a Date and go to our channel. So we'll be back again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And in the meantime, just follow us on social media for any updates about our site relaunch and redesign. Follow us on updates about when we're going to go live or what some of our topics might be. Usually our Instagram has a couple posts that'll kind of give you a hint as to what we're going to talk about during the particular episode. So just stay tuned to us on social media and you'll get all the scoops. So that's going to be it for today. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. I hope to see you live. If not, we'll catch you on one of our podcast apps. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your week.